Okay, hello everybody. Today what we're going to do is we're going to talk about simple interest. And interest, of course, is in the finance field, business. But of course, if you have purchased a car or a house or even taken out a small loan, you know that this probably has applied to you. Now, simple interest is a very easy formula. It's I equals PRT. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to explain the variables to you. I, of course, stands for interest, and it's in dollars. P is principal, and how I like to remember that is that's the present value. It's how much money you took out of your loan now. It's how much money you have now, and that's also in dollars. R stands for rate. It's your interest rate. Okay, now usually in the bank will present it to you as a percentage. But what you need to know is that you can't work with percentages in mathematics. Whenever you put it inside of an equation, it has to be presented as a decimal. So the very first thing you want to do is change your percentage into a decimal when you substitute it into the formula. So for example, let's say you have a 15% rate. Okay? What would that be if you converted it into a decimal? Now what you can do is you can take 15 and divide it by 100 and you would get 0.15. Okay, because that's all percentage is. It's part over whole, and a whole is 100%. So it's 15 over 100, which would give you 0.15, and that's your decimal. A quick way that we do it, though, is if you have a decimal place, we're just going to move it 2 times to the left, and you'll get the same answer. So let's say I had 25.6%. Okay, a quick way that I change it into a decimal is I take the decimal place and move it over to the left 2 times. So the answer would be 0.256 as a decimal. All right. Then we have T, the last variable. And T, of course, is time. Time is presented in years. Okay, and that's very important. Unless otherwise stated, time is in years. So if they said, okay, you have 6 months to pay us back, you have to convert this to years. And how you would do that is you have 6 months. So we write 6M. I'm going to multiply that by a conversion. Now we're trying to get rid of months, which means months would have to be on bottom. We're trying to get years, so years is going to go on top. What is the relationship between years and months? Well, we know in 1 year, there's 12 months. And of course, you know how to multiply fractions. This is 6 over 1. You multiply straight across. So you get 6 over 12, which is 1/2 or 0.5. So that's what T would be. T would be 0.5. Okay? Let's try this again. Let's say they had, you have 60 days to pay us back. You have 60 days to pay us back. Well, I would have to convert this into years. So we know we want years, we want to get rid of the days. What relationship do you know? 1 year, and in business, they have 360 days, not 365. So they just round down to 360. So in 60 days over 360, if you multiply this over 1, you have 60 over 360. That gives you 1/6. And that you can substitute in for years. Okay? So let's go back. We have I equals PRT. So hopefully now you know what everything stands for. Okay, real quick, just a little side note before I give one. I showed you that if you have 45%, you can just change it into a decimal by moving it over to the left 2 spaces. So that would become 0.45. Well, it's the same way the other way. Well, the other way around. If I said, hey, I have the decimal 0.2345, and I want you to change that into a percentage, you would just take the decimal and move it to the right 2 decimal places. So that would be 23.45%. Just want to throw that out there. Okay, So let's say that I told you I want you to use the formula for simple interest to find a given value. P is $400. R is 8%. T is 6 years. And I want you to find I. Well, that's cool. We're just going to substitute everything in, but I want you to go through a checklist. P is in dollars. Awesome. That's supposed to be a check mark. Sorry. R is 8%. Well, we can't put 8 in for R. We have to change it into a decimal first. So here's the decimal. I'm going to move it to the left 2 times, so I'm going to change that to 0.08. T is in years. Check. So I'm all good to go. So I equals 400 times 0.08, which is my R, times 6, which is T, and then you can go ahead and calculate that into your calculator to get your I. And I get I equals $192. So that's your answer. Now it doesn't always have to be I that you're solving for. Let's say I asked you to use simple interest to find the indicated quantity, and I told you that I is $27. R is 6%. T is 3 months. And I want you to find P. Okay? So now we're going to go through, let me get a different color. We're going to go through the checklist. Okay? I is in dollars. Good. R is in percent. Nope, can't be in percent. It has to be converted into a decimal. So I'm going to have 0.06. T is in months. Nope. Remember, unless otherwise stated, T has to be in years. So I'm going to have to convert this to years. So 3 months. I know then 1 year, there's 12 months. Okay. Which is going to give me 1/4 or 0.25 years. Okay. And then we're looking, oh, sorry, hide. We're looking for P. So now I'm going to write down the formula. I equals PRT. I'm going to fill in everything that I know. I is 27 equals, we don't know what P is, so I'm going to leave PP. R is 0.06. T is 0.25. Okay? Now, I can actually multiply these together. When I multiply those together, I got 0.015, so I have 27 equals 0.015p. Now I'm solving for p, so I'm going to do the opposite of what the equation is giving you. So it's basic algebra. This is 0.015p, which means multiplication. So I'm going to do the opposite of multiplication, and I'm going to divide the right-hand side by 0.015, which means I have to divide the left-hand side by the same, because you all know the saying, whatever you do to one side, you have to do the other. So those cancel, because that's just 1. So P equals whatever 27 divided by 0.015 is. And that gives me 1,800. So your principal is 1,800. Okay, the last one I want to do, I'm going to kind of pick up on this problem. If you paid $30 to a loan company, for the use of $1,002 for 132 days. Okay? I want to know what rate was given to you. Okay? And there's 2 things I want you to do. I want you to assume there's 360 days in a year, because we're talking about a business year. Okay? I also want you to round your answer to 3 decimal places. So that's a lot of information, so make sure you have all of that down, and then I'm going to clear this screen and we're going to go ahead and work it out. So make sure you have this all down on your paper. Okay, so now I'm ready to work it out. Okay, I know that I is 30. because that's how much I'm paying to borrow money. How much am I borrowing right now? $1,002. So that's P. Okay? For how long before I have to pay this back? 132 days. Now it's already a flag. I can't have it in days. So I'm going to come over here and do my conversion. I know that in 1 year, they told me there's 360 days. Okay? So remember, this is over 1. So I'm going to have 132 over 360, which gives me 11 over 30 years. Okay, so there's my T. So all I'm missing is R, which is what we're looking for. We're looking for the rate. So I'm going to write down my formula. I equals PRT. I'm going to fill in everything I know. 30 equals 1,002. We don't know what R is, so that's going to stay R. But we know T is 11 over 30. I'm going to go ahead and multiply the 11 over 30 times the 1,002. And I get 367.4. So I have 30 equals 367.4 R. Now we're trying to get R by itself. That's a 7. We're trying to get R by itself. That's 367.4 times R. So I'm going to divide both sides by 367.4. So then I get R equals 30 divided by 367.4 is 0.08164 and some change. There's more after that. But you might be wondering why I have so many of these numbers. Well, the answer right now is in a decimal, but that's not how you present it to a customer. You present rate as a percentage. So I'm going to have to change this in percentage. And we talked about that earlier in the lecture, that all I'm going to do is take the decimal place and move it 2 times to the right. Okay? So, and then they want 3 places after the decimal. So I'm going to take these 3 numbers. Since the number after the 5 is a 4, I know I'm going to keep it 5. So my interest rate is going to be 8.165%. And that is your answer. Okay, that's it for this lecture for simple interest. What I would do is go ahead and close this down and use your notes to go ahead and start on your homework, and then open up the next lecture and you can just continue on from there. Have a great day.